What is up, guys? It's Mega giving you another Duelist Link Evolution. Today, guys, you can see I've got a mixture of the predaplants mixed with a little bit of a rose engine. The reason why is because you've all been asking for a lot of like a black rose deck, and there is no such thing because we don't have all the cards like Rose Girl, and there's new like black rose support which we don't have. So in all, it's kind of a bit weird to make this. I tried to make it combine it with like a Dragon Link combo and it just wasn't working. So I decided to fall back on another one of Akiza's best cards, being the Twilight Rose Knight. Twilight Rose Knight is just great to start the Auroradon combo, which then got me thinking, Auroradon, let's just try and do that. Mixed with the Predaplant, it's really great to search for the Super Poly on top of the Auroradon. So let's get into it. Neos is again a Garnet. You don't particularly care about him. You don't want to see him. He's basically there for the Neos fusion, that's it. Under circumstances, you don't particularly want to use it. Ash Blossom is there for Omnigate is there for Fantastic Hand Trap. In this format, should your opponent add a card from the deck to land, special summon or send a card from the deck to the grave, she sucks, sit down, have a nice day. Now I'm running one copy of Despot 001 and one copy of Jet Synchron. Reason being is because you need one of these to go into Auroradon. Since if you used Jet Synchron to go into Crystalline Hawk Fibrax, you're going to summon out Despot 001. But if you use 001 to go into Alka Fibrax, you're going to summon out the Jet Synchron. So that's why we're running one of each. It just makes life so much easier and it prevents 001 from being a Garnet. It's basically you summon him off Auroradon when you play Auroradon's ability. You summon out this guy and you're going to Herald of the Arclight. Jet Synchron is a one-card Auroradon combo starter. That's the only reason I'm running him, because it's like if you're going to run it, you might as well run it to just basically start the whole combo on its own. Because you can basically just link him right into Linkuriboh, go in, play his ability to pitch one card, go into Crystalline Hawk Fibrax, then go into bring out 001, go into Auroradon, whole combo just off this little guy. One more Garnet we're running along with the Rainbow Dragon, so grand total running 3 Garnets in this deck, and it is Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion. If you have O-Lion in your opening hand, you can't do a Auroradon combo unless you are pretty lucky with your basically if your opponent gives you an extra normal summon. Because Auroradon can only special out O-Lion from the deck, he can't summon it from the hand, so you don't particularly want to draw this thing. You're going to tune this along with the 2 remaining tokens of Auroradon to go into Barrel-Load Savage. Then this little guy reduces a token, which you then tune with 001 to go into the O-Lion. For the Predaplant engine, I'm running one copy of Darling Cobra and 2 Orpha Scorpio. Orpha Scorpio is limited to 2, that's the only reason I'm running 2, and Darling Cobra I'm running at 1, simply because he's kind of a Garnet. You don't particularly want to draw into him, because you can't, because then you won't be able to like trigger his ability, but he's still, you don't want to run more than 2 simply because we're not really running the deck space to run more than it. So if Darling Cobra is summoned by the effect of a Predaplant such as Orpha Scorpio or Spino's Tapelia, you get to add a fusion, so that in our case it's going to be either Instant Fusion, Neos Fusion or Super Poly, all because of Darling Cobra. Orpha Scorpio allows us to normal or special summon any Predaplant from our deck simply by pitching one monster. So you could even pitch Jet Synchron and still do the Auroradon plays on top of using something like Darling Cobra to summon out your Darling Cobra to search the fusion. And Twilight Rose Knight can summon any one of our plants. So Twilight Rose Knight can summon any of these plants to go into Auroradon simply by himself, really. We're running 3 copies of Ascension. It's for a fantastic hand trap. Should your opponent declare direct attack, you get best summon this bad boy. If they attack into it, you can destroy this and your opponent's monster. If this card is drawn by battle or by card effect, you can add any Predator monster from your deck to your hand. So this can search out Orpha Scorpio or Spino's Tapelia, all by destroying your opponent's monster in the process. And 3 copies of Spino's Tapelia, because upon being normal special summoned, you target one monster on the field, it gains a Predator counter. If this card attacks a monster who's a lower level, you get special summon a Predator Plant directly from your deck, which does trigger Orpha Scorpio and does trigger Darling Cobra's ability. Again, Rainbow Dragon is a Garnet, you don't particularly care about it. Now I'm running 2 copies of Red Rose Dragon, then 3 copies of the White Rose Dragon. These are like the Rose cards in the deck, because Blue Rose is particularly not a great card. That's the only reason I've cut him out. The reason I'm running 2 and 3 of these is because Red Rose is like, I don't particularly want to run 3 of each, because if I'm running a tuner, I'd rather run Twilight Rose Red Rose has the effect where if you use it as single material, you can special summon a Rose monster from your hand or deck. So if you use this to synchro summon, you can immediately summon out the White Rose. So that's the particular reason why we're running it. Twilight Rose is an absolute animal. We're even running Rhoda, so it's searchable off that. This card, you get to normal, upon being normal summoned, you get special summon a level 4 or a plant monster directly from your hand, which is all of our Predaplants equals our beloved Crystal Halcyon, which then goes into Auroradon, or by this little guy that Akiza used in the anime. 3 copies of White Rose. If you have a dragon or a plant tuner, basically being our Red Rose Dragon, you get a special summon this card directly for free. And if this card is used for synchro material, you get to send a level 4 lower plant monster from your deck to your grave. So this can ditch one of our Predaplants to mill the deck out if you want to. And that's it for the monsters. Going on to, so I want to point the high, all of our monsters, as you can see, are all darks pretty much, which pretty much makes them perfect for use for Super Poly to go into Starving Venom. Spells, guys, I'm running 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone because basically it just helps go into back row decks, Mystic Mind players, any decks that any back row players alone. This card is actually fantastic. It's basically MST but better because you get to banish the card instead of destroying it. Really great. Foolish Burial because because it's another way to pitch the Jet Synchron in order to go into Auroradon. It's also kind of great if you want to mill your deck out with some Garnets, so then that way you're not like 001, so you don't have to do it. But it's mainly there for the Jet Synchron to enable a free play. 3 copies of Instant Fusion. The reason I'm running this is because we've got 2 targets in being 1000 Eyes Restrict and Sea Monster of Theseus, I think it's called. The reason why I'm running this is because Instant Fusion can either act as a tuner or a non-tuner depending on what we need. So say for instance my hand is Red Rose Dragon, I can summon out 1000 Eyes Restrict, steal an opponent's monster and still do the Auroradon combo. But say if I had Darling Cobra, I could play Darling Cobra, summon out Sea Monster Theseus, which is a fusion tuner, and then do the Auroradon combo. That's why we're doing it. Instant Fusion can act as any one of the monsters that you're missing to do Auroradon. We're using 1 copy of Monster Reborn because, like I say, you can pitch any monster with Foolish Burial and then you can resurrect it. Basically, the main monster you would pitch off Foolish Burial is Jet Synchron, but either way, Monster Reborn, really great combo extender. Neos Fusion is there to summon out the almighty Rainbow Neos. However, you don't need to use Anaconda to play this card. It's like Neos, it's like Red Eyes Fusion, but better. Red Eyes Fusion locks you from summoning monsters regardless. This card, you can do all your plays, all your combos, then you can play this at the end of it like Anaconda, then it locks you out. And also on top of this, you can send Neos Fusion, you can send Rainbow Dragon and Neos from your hand or deck to the grave to summon out Rainbow Neos, and should Rainbow Neos be threatened on the field, you can remove Neos Fusion from your grave instead to give it some protection. 1 for 1 because we can pitch any one of our monsters to summon out Jet Synchron to do Auroradon, that's what it's all there for. Using Reinforcement of the Army to search out Twilight Rose Knight, so we're able to do a Auroradon combo should we have any one of our Predaplants in hand. 2 copies of Super Poly, it is searchable with Cobra, and this, because we're running a lot of darks and all the Predaplants, even the Rose Dragons are darks, and Twilight Rose Knight, it's super easy to go into Starving Venom. Dark is the most common attribute there is, so that you will always be resolving this card. Upstart Goblin lets us turns this into a 39 card deck. I kind of need some more draw power, so we fill on this. And then we're running 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, fantastic hand trap. It's like Effect Fader, but a little bit better because it can't be called by the grave. If you control no cards, you can play this card from your hand, and that's not a once per turn effect. And if you do set it and your opponent activates a spell trap in the same column as this, you can negate that card. Really great. And that's it for the deck, guys. It's a pretty straight, simple Auroradon deck. The reason I ran on this was because it was just made it simpler for Red Rose and Predaplants because there was nothing we could have actually have done. Then onto the extra deck, like say we're in that 1 copy of Rainbow Neos. He's like this game's version of Dragoon. He's basically a board wipe. You can send 1 monster you control to the graveyard like Anaconda if you summoned it off Anaconda, to shuffle all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. It doesn't target, it doesn't destroy, it just outs every single monster. Or you can use one of your dead spell or traps to send them to the grave to shuffle all spell or traps your opponent controls back into the deck. So it's like a full board wipe. Or you can send the top card of your deck to the grave to shuffle all cards in your opponent's grave into the deck. So it can even out a lot of grave heavy decks like Salmon Grave. Running that copy of Sea Monster Theseus. It is instant fusion target. It is a tuner, so you can use it and any one of your non-tuners or even if you had another tuner to go into Halka-Fibrax. Using that Starving Venom Fusion Dragon because we're running Super Poly, any 2 dark monsters make this. You can even use it on your turn for like an OTK. If it's special summoned, you can target 1 monster in the field, gain attack even for that monster's attack. And Starving Venom can steal a level 5 or higher monster's effect, really great. But the best part is, if this card leaves the field or is destroyed, you can destroy all monsters your opponent has that was special summoned. So basically, it's like a nice board wipe, really great fusion super poly target. And then we're running 1000 Dice Restrict. Again, this is another instant fusion target. So again, if you're running like a non-tuner, or running a tuner, you can play 1000 Dice as your like non-tuner if you like. So this guy can steal 1 monster your opponent has on the field. It kind of like, it forces your opponent to use up a negate if they have one, because if they don't use it, they're going to lose their monster. So it's kind of like a bait if you want to. Then you just link him off into Link Kuriboh so your monsters can still attack. Synchros, of course this is a Black Rose Dragon deck. I am running Black Rose Moonlight rather than Black Rose Dragon, simply because, in my opinion, Moonlight is better because upon being summoned, you can target 1 special monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Because it doesn't destroy, it gets around a lot of cards. Yes, it targets, but I found it better than being a board wipe because 9 times out of 10 you don't really want to wipe your board. So that's why I decided to run Moonlight rather than Black Rose Dragon. Running 1 copy Borrowload Savage because it's just fantastic for the Aurodon combo. It will always have 3 borrow counters, which means it can negate 3 cards your opponent tries to play, and it will gain an extra 1000 attack points, and it is just an all-around over great combo. Then we're using FA Dawn Dragster simply because it is a spell or trap negate, and it's level 7, which is really easy in this deck. And of course you can basically use it instead of going to Moonlight for a free Omni negate. It is actually very easy to go into this. You'd actually be surprising how easy it is going to FA Dawn Dragster, because we're running like a lot of like level 3 running like a lot of level 3s and 3s, so, and even level 4s with White Rose. Like White Rose and Red Rose equal FA Dawn Dragster. If not, you can use like Twilight Rose and Orpha Scorpio with 1000 dice to go into it. There's many ways to go into FA Dawn Dragster, but it's just there for a great spell trap negate. And then we've got Herald of the Arclight, which can basically end the game in itself. Herald of the Arclight is a Omni negate like Borrowload Savage, but it has a little bit of a Macrocosmos effect. Where if your opponent sends a monster from the hand or deck to the grave, it's banished instead of going to the graveyard. So this card even shuts down Effect Veiler, because Effect Veiler has to go to the graveyard to trigger its ability. Borrow Sword Dragon to help with the OTKs in case Rainbow Neos himself can't do it. Borrow Sword can attack twice by swapping 1 monster from attack to defense mode, and Borrow Sword can out any monster because it will always gain that half that monster's attack, and then they lose half the attack. Hit Kriston Halka-Fibrax to go into the Aurodon plays. You're going to use this to summon either Jet Synchron or 001 if you didn't, well, mainly 001 if you didn't use it for the summon of Halka-Fibrax. Masquerena, because it's absolutely great to go into Nightmare Unicorn, because you can link summon during your opponent's turn. And any monster summoned with IP Masquerena can't be destroyed by card effects. So that means with IP Masquerena, you can go into Unicorn during your opponent's turn. And then you can discard 1 card, target 1 card your opponent has on the field, return it to the deck. Have a nice day. Link Kuriboh, because it's mandatory for the Aurodon combo, should you're doing it with the Jet Synchron, because you can just summon Jet Synchron, go into Link Kuriboh, play Jet Synchron's ability, resurrect it, go into Halka-Fibrax, have a nice day, you've done the Aurodon combo. Or guys, you can use it for the 1000 dice, so you can still use the your attack phase. And then we have got Aurodon, because upon being summoned, you're going to summon out 3 tokens. This triggers 001's ability, summons it to the field, have a nice day. And then you basically tribute Aurodon with another token, summon out O-Line from the deck. That's why O-Line is a Garnet, you particularly don't want to draw it. And then we are running Anaconda, because we're running that many fusions like Super Poly and Neos Fusion. You can easily bring out Starving Venom or Rainbow Neos just off of Anaconda. So that's a really great card as well. And that's it for the deck, guys. It's a pretty straightforward deck. I really do like this. There is obviously better Aurodon combo decks, like decks in general. But I decided upon using trying to make like a Black Rose and a Red Rose variant, this is what I was going to end up with. Right, without further ado, guys, if you like this deck, hit that thumbs up and subscribing. Everyone helps this channel grow. And further ado, take care. I'll see you on the next deck. See you in the replays, boys. Okay guys, a quick preview of what basically my mindset was for when we were doing the duels. So since we opened up with the Jet Synchron, we could do the whole Auroradon combo with just the Jet Synchron. Our hindsight, realistically, should have pitched the 1-for-1 since the only thing we can summon off 1-for-1 now is basically Sentient. So we're going to Hulk Vibrax, which brings out 001 because we use the Jet Synchron, which then goes into Auroradon. Have a nice day. Auroradon brings out 3 tokens, which summons back 001. You then tribute Auroradon and the token to go out O-line from the deck. Borrowload Savage Dragon, 3 negates, and then you'll get another negate with Herald of the Arclight from tuning 001 and the remaining token that you summon off O-line. We also have the Imperm and a Cosmic Cyclone, so we have 2 Omnigates, a Monster Negate, and a Spell or Trap Interruption, and that is a pretty powerful hand. And this is basically what the deck's all about, nice and simple, and our opponent just simply passes because he can't do anything. For the next time, in this hand we have 3 copies of Spinal Stapelia. If he had a monster, we'll be able to attack into it and then summon out another predaplant from our deck. And unfortunately we're getting to Mike has a lot of back row, so what he decides to do is play Sonic Judgment. We can't really do anything, so I decided instead of playing Cosmic Cyclone, set it to see if he's going to bait a card out or anything. But technically kind of does. He plays Twin Twister, discards his Subterra card and gets rid of Cosmic Cyclone. So now he decides to list draw and pass. Again, we're just going to summon out Spinal Stapelia. Because it doesn't do anything in response, I was going to do what I did last duel, or last turn, which I wanted to do was play Instant Fusion, summon out the Sea Monsters because it's a tuner, to go into Alpha Vibrax, summon out 001, then we can go into the whole Auroradon play. But this time though, he decides to stop us again, and he has the Imperm set for our Alpha Vibrax. So again, we can't do anything. It's a matter of literally just attack and just swing and hope. Swing and hope for damage. So nothing really too great here, nothing too major, and he decides to draw, sets a card, and then he passes. We draw again, summon out the final Spinal Stapelia, which then instead of going to do all our fancy plays, I decided to just swing for damage and attack. And weirdly, that was actually enough to win, which is absolutely weird. So this duel, guys, against Luke, as you can see, we played the Instant Fusion, which gets us we've got Upstart, which gets us access to Instant Fusion, which was a bang on what we needed to do Auroradon. Because we had summoned 001 to summon out Hulk Vibrax, we're summoning out that Jet Synchron. So now we get to go into Auroradon and do the exact same plays what we did in the first duel. And like I say, guys, this is what this deck is designed around. Simply because the Predaplants and the Rose Dragons are just so easy to pull off this play. And also Predaplants can actually search out other cards such as like the Fusions. So like I say, we're going to go into Borrowload Savage Dragon, and because Jet Synchron's also in the graveyard, that sets it up beautifully for the next turn, which you will see after Luke ends his turn. We now play Herald of the Arclight, set Imperm. Now we have basically 3 negates on board. He decides to play Regeki. Of course, we're going to negate with Borrowload Savage, and to negate Regeki, he then changed the Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy Auroradon. This just makes it so Borrowload loses its power increase, but he still has the attack points. So now he plays Lilybell, and then he wants to summon out Coralbane. We tribute Herald of the Arclight to destroy Coralbane, so he can't go into a Link 2 play. I thought he was going to go in, especially because most Trickstar players run Rainbow Neo, so I was scared of an Anaconda, which he was going to do for that play. So this just made it get around that. So now he's going to Link Summon into the Trickstar Bloom, and then he's going to play the Monster Reborn for Trickstars, bring back Lilybell. Then he goes into Holy Angel. And that's basically his turn, which is weirdly goes into Holy Angel, which is kind of a weird play because it doesn't really do anything. But we know he's got Coralbane in hand, so we have to be careful here. So what I decided to do is use Jet Synchron's effect from the graveyard, pitch any one of our cards, summon it back. Use our White Rose Dragon and go into Anaconda. Use the Neos Fusion to get rid of our Rainbow Dragon and our Neos to go into Rainbow Neos. Simply by sending Anaconda back to the grave, we get out his, we get around his Trickstar, his Trickstar monster without triggering Coralbane's ability, which is really nice. Once again, he summons out the Lilybell, plays a card, then he's going to attack me with Lilybell, plays Lilybell's ability to resurrect another Lilybell, basically, because basically adds it back to his hand, summons it back, attacks me again. This adds his bloom back into his deck. You might notice that I haven't played Imperm the entire time, simply because there's no point. I'm just saving that Imperm for when I need to. He tries to summon out Coralbane. Once again, we negate the Coralbane, stop him from summoning. He once again goes into Holy Angel. Yes, now once again, I just do the same play as I did last time. Use the rain, but instead I'm going to play Imperm to basically try and bait out that last card. It was another Imperm himself. So now what we do is use Rainbow Neos to send Borrello to the grave and get us around Coralbane once again. Nice and easy duel, nice and easy victory. So in this hand, guys, we do have access to Orpha Scorpio and we have that Jet Synchron in hand. So what we could do is pitch the Jet Synchron with Orpha Scorpio, summon out Darling Sepelia, or summon out Darling Cobra. Darling Cobra lets us get Super Poly. Now we can use Jet Synchron's ability to pitch a card and just do the Holorodon play. And like I say, this is we can do the Holorodon play and search out Super Polymerization. Really, really great. That's what this deck's all about. Because now basically that Orpha Scorpio is not really dead. If your opponent's running any form of like a Dart monster, we can use it along with our monster to go into Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. What it's all about. And if your opponent doesn't do anything to out it, Orpha Scorpio we can use to go into Anaconda and just wipe the opponent's field. So this is basically the same play. He's just going to go to Borrello Savage with the 3 negates, going into the Herald of the Arclight. Then we're going to set the Super Poly as like a little insurance number, and that ends our turn. Marcus is weirdly plays the Dark Hole. This is going to eat one of the Borrello Savage's negates. We still have that Herald of the Arclight. He plays Supply Squad, but then he weirdly goes into Blazing Apache, which makes me think this is like a starter deck, which is kind of very, very poor, unfortunately for him. He decides to go into the Orpha Scorpio, and that ends his turn. We go into Red Rose Dragon and play Instant Fusion to summon out the 1000 Ice Strix. Faz Ice Strix steals his monster, which we then link with our other monster to go into Anaconda, which then goes into Rainbow Neos, which is then more than enough for the OTK between it and Borrello Savage. And this is still while having 2 negates on board, which is kind of a poor soul. Ramsey basically decides to play Reinforcement of the Army. He decides to add a card I've never seen before in my life, which was like Vengeful Shinobi. So basically if I attack it, he gets to draw a card. So what we decided to do, guys, is play the 1-for-1, pitch Darling Cobra, because unfortunately it was a Garnet, didn't particularly want to draw it, but unfortunately we did, which means we can't search out Fusion. I then decide to normal summon out Sarah Sentient, simply because if we didn't, because we need to summon out 001 with our Palka 5 Rex in order to go into Auroradon. If I summon 001, we wouldn't be able to go into Auroradon. Well, unfortunately, he plays Ojama Trio, which stops us from using Auroradon and doing the whole combos. So now but we still have some plays that we can do. I'm going to tribute 2 of his tokens to summon out O-Line from the deck, and then we're going to use it with our other with the other token to go into Herald of the Arclight. It's not the greatest, but it's still an Omnigate, and we still have 2 Infinite Impertinences in hand. So yeah, it's not the best, but it's still negate in case stuff goes wrong. Then we just attack over his monster. He draws a card, unfortunately, but that's nothing too serious. He does play Veil's ability, trying to get a free summon and gain back the life points. This eats up the Herald's negate because I don't want him to get a free monster on board, and that ends our turn. Simply set the 2 Imperns. Have a nice day, boys. He then summons another Vengeful Shinobi, which is kind of weird, sets a card, and that ends his turn. But now we draw the White Rose Dragon. And then I realise I can't go into Anaconda because it's the token is not obviously an effect monster. It has to be 2 effect monsters to go into it. I then decide I play Auroradon's ability to tribute the token to destroy his monster. Unfortunately, he then plays Scapegoat, which then just gives us the opening we need. So what I decide to do is now destroy his Shinobi and then go into Anaconda to go into Rainbow Neos. If that face down card wasn't Scapegoat, I most probably wouldn't have gone into Anaconda. But basically, Anaconda is going to send all of his Rainbow Neos is going to send Anaconda to the grave to out all of his tokens, so he takes the full damage. And that's it for basically it. We still have 2 negates, two monster negates, and Ramsey, I think he sees the right on the wall and decides to end his decides to either call it, I believe. or Jens's turn, and then we win anyway. But you see what this deck's all about? Nice and easy, just basically a very standard one. So nothing too major. He decides to finally surrender. So now, guys, once again we have like a very decent hand. We can use the Orpheus Scorpio. We pitch Spinus Depelia. This goes into Darling Cobra. We search out Super Polymerization. We then have Instant Fusion to go into the Aurorodon plays, because obviously we have the Fusion Tuner. Goes into Halka Fibrax, and again, as you saw, we now have access to Super Polymerization. The Super Polymerization, we do have access to the Aurorodon combo, so we have Borrowload Savage, Herald of the Arclight. We have Sora Sentient in case he wants to direct attack us, and also it's Super Polyfodder, and we also have Upstart Goblin, so we get to draw an additional card on top for this. So you see what this is literally all it is. Nice setting up negates, setting up a very horrible board. So Borrowload Savage resurrects. Borrowload Savage gets his negates, going to Herald of the Arclight. But now, because I decided to hold off on the Upstart Goblin, because I didn't want to draw Outline, because Aurorodon can only summon Outline from the deck, not from the hand. So I held off on the Upstart, and we drew Infinite Impertinence. So now we have another Monster Negate, and we have Super Polymerization set. He summons out Manju, plays its effect. I decided to play Herald of the Arclight and not play Imperm or Borrowload Savage. The reason why is because if I used like Imperm, he would just attack over the Herald, and that would lose a negate. Then he goes into the incantation plays, trying to summon Candle, so he can get a ritual spell from his deck. He plays Preparation of Rites. This would lay him out Incantation, Chalice Slime. After some debating, I do actually decide to actually negate this. I'm guessing this is like a Chaos Max deck, I'm not sure, but I've tried to stop him from basically getting it out. He plays Magical Mallet in like a desperate attempt to try and get the cards he needs. He draws one, he doesn't get anything, so he passes. So you see what I mean? It's just basically nice and standard. We just tried to interrupt and we did. Then we go into Anaconda. Going to use Anaconda to go into the Rainbow Neos, and that is it. So hopefully you kind of got some insight what this deck's all about. It's nice and simple, very straightforward, and I do hope this helps. And without further ado, guys, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.